And I will reshare. All right. So we are set to go. So thanks everybody for joining today. I'll jump into our agenda. Kind of what I have planned today. Do some introductions. Again, my whole focus around this user group is what the users and the community want. Spend some time in introduction so we can all get to know each other. I threw out a few different topics here. We can touch on those if there's interest. We can talk about other things, but what's new in .45 that's just released. Financial tags. It's an area I've ran into with a few of our clients lately that have started to use that. So wanted to talk about that. And then we can't have any Microsoft related event anymore without saying AI somewhere in the agenda. So I threw that there at the bottom. But welcome to the Southern California D365F Finance and Supply Chain Management, FNSCM. Our group home, you guys have all found us out there on Meetup. So feel free to go to that Meetup group. There are discussion boards. You can put discussions out there. Like I said, I've tried to post a few things out there asking people for their input for meetings, things like that. There's 196 members in our group. So hopefully people will see that. Just a quick background on Doug that sponsors this event. I think most of us know who Doug is, the Dynamics user group, the building communities. They are the parent of DynamicsCon. So rules of engagement, we all know, be courteous, contribute to the meeting. But in addition to these meetups, they also have other areas. They have the Doug forums, so an online forum discussion. So again, if you're having product questions, things like that, go out there. There are many of us that keep an eye on that, answer questions, help people out. DynamicsCon that I talked about a little bit ago, other on-demand classes, other regional events. I'm going to jump off Dynamics user group real quick to plug a Microsoft event. This event is the Microsoft Power Platform Conference coming up the end of next month. I think it is still, yeah, we're still in September. So the end of next month in Vegas, Power Platform Conference. I think this is the 4th or 5th year that they're having this. This conference is amazing if you do anything with Power Platform. I'll be attending that. I'm not sure. I think this code still works. This buy one, get one free. They gave this to all of us that are user group leaders to share. And it originally expired back in June, but then they opened it back up and said it was going to run through the start of the conference. I'm very interested to see Michael Phelps speak. I think that could be very interesting, but a lot of stuff on Copilot AI, all that will be at this event. So highly recommend that if you can get away from the office for a few days and go over to Vegas. Unfortunately, it's the MGM Grand right next to all the construction for the baseball stadium. But anyway, and then there's another conference coming up for those of us that are really old and have been in this arena for a while. We are probably very familiar with the conference named Convergence. Started as a Great Plains conference, became Microsoft Convergence. I think last took place in like 2015. Microsoft has resurrected it, and it's now going to be an AI and ERP conference, and they're putting it on in December. It's coming quick. I just got an email today that it is already half full. So if you're interested in hearing from some key leaders, and this event, while it's being managed by the Doug team, the speakers are coming from Microsoft and Microsoft MVPs. So it's not the standard session submission like they do for DynamicsCon or like the Summit team does, anything like that. So this is going to have a lot more Microsoft speakers. So should be very interesting. And again, focused what I'm hearing strictly on AI and finance and supply chain. They were on the fence if it would have anything with Business Central, but nothing on CRM, CE platform. It's focused ERP specifically. And then the last one on that set of slides here is DynamicsCon. Again, the user conference scheduled for the middle of May here in 2026 in lovely Las Vegas. That code does not work. They have not given me a code that's left over from another event they've done. So I know the Ohio regional code doesn't work, but reach out if you're looking to go and looking for a discount code. I'm sure I can track one down for you. And then if you want to be on the Doug mailing list, scan this QR code. This will get you on the email list. That there are not only the local groups like we have here in SoCal, but there are some virtual, more international groups. I work with one called Doug for Manufacturing. I know there's one in the public sector arena as well. So those are good events to participate in. So with that, I want to get to the networking side and do some introductions. And again, we have a small group here, so allow us time to get to know each other and see how we can work together and help grow this group. So just threw out a few prompts here: name, company, position, where you're located, what you're hoping to learn today. And then I always like to throw something a little more personal on. I got this from another event I attended, but do you prefer to watch a movie in the theater or at home? So I'll start. So for those that I haven't met, my name's Dan Edwards. I am a managing director at Crow. Crow is a large CPA firm. We're an Inner Circle Microsoft partner. I've been with Crow over 8 years now, but have been in the Dynamics ecosystem since before it was called Dynamics. I started back with Great Plains, moved into Exapta, and then have moved forward into D365. I work mainly in the finance side. So I do a lot of our pre-sales on finance, as well as a lot of our FP&A solution work. Location, I'm normally based in the Inland Empire in Ontario, in California. But today, coming to you live from Albuquerque, New Mexico, where I've got to visit a client tomorrow morning. What I am hoping to learn from today is what I can do to get some more people to attend our events and what we can do to grow this user group. And as far as watching a movie in the theater or at home, I have to go with I prefer in the theater. Now, I would prefer if I rented the whole theater out, it was just me and my wife. So there weren't other distractions in the theater, but I do like it on the big screen. I like to see them usually as soon as they come out, but do watch quite a few at home, and nothing better than the theater popcorn. So with that, I'll just kind of rotate around. I was trying to bring up the attendee list here. So Anne Marie, why don't you go ahead and start us off?
Of course you did that. Hello.
Alphabetical order, sorry.
Hi, I'm Anne Marie Villarmosa. I am actually with an ISV, Dynamic Web, but I've been in the Microsoft space. Actually started out with GP as well. But yeah, Dynamic Web is an e-commerce platform, or they're calling it now a digital experience platform. That has CMS, content management, product information management, e-commerce, and email marketing. I'm the channel development manager here. I am located in Las Vegas. I grew up in SoCal. That's why I like this group. And if there's ever the opportunity to go back to Cali, I take it because it does get hot here. But but I am, just wanting to learn today. I recently went to that Microsoft AI conference in Chicago. Some of their sessions were so full I couldn't get in. So would interesting to see what you have in store for today. But I actually do prefer watching in the theater as well, but it has to be I prefer the ones with the lounge chairs that you can.
Yeah, 100%. My wife, if they're not a recliner, my wife's not going.
Yes, I like the recliner and I thoroughly enjoy theater popcorn.
All right, thanks, Anne Marie. Corey.
Hey everybody. Let's see if I can turn my video on. You guys can see me? All right, cool. Yeah, Corey
Yeah.
Moore. I work for Musco Olives. I'm a project manager based down in Long Beach, California. And what I'm hoping to learn today is really just kind of just connect with folks. Obviously a lot of change going on in the not only in the partner network, but I think customers as well, and obviously all the technology that's coming into play. So just curious to see what folks are doing out there. I used to work on the partner side. I've worked on the client side for the last it's 6, 7 years now. So just another perspective, I guess, if you will. And then in terms of what way I like to prefer to watch a movie, I have a 1-year-old, so now I gotta maybe I'm throwing a curveball here. You know, there's a drive-in theater that's actually close to our house that we started to go with the baby, so that's been pretty cool. But yeah, I'd say now it's probably preferring being at home with the baby and my wife snuggled up watching the movie as opposed to the theater at this point. So nice meeting everybody. Looking forward to chatting more.
Makes sense. I remember when the kids are little. So Musco Olives, you're based in Tracy, right?
Yeah, Musco's based in Tracy. I'm down in SoCal, so yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. I noticed the Tracy connection because actually my parents are both graduates of Tracy High, and that's where I'm originally from. So it just caught my eye. But you're in SoCal. That's awesome. All right, Gabor, you're still on mute.
Hi everyone, I'm Gabor. I'm off mute now, obviously. I work for myself, Dynamics Inspired. I like to help companies be inspired about the digital transformation adopting D365. I'm a principal consultant, meaning I can help with project management, program governance, architecture. I can also help train and configure everything from AP, AR, GL, pretty much finance core modules, but also get into things like costing with manufacturing and project accounting and cash rec, bank account rec, etc. So been involved with strictly exclusively focused on D365 since 2012. And I'm in Oceanside. And I actually prefer watching nature by the fire outside my RV while I'm glamping
Ah,
in Mother Nature.
there you
And what
go.
I'm hoping to learn is I'm always eager to learn about either Power Apps or any kind of low code AI or Power App that integrates tightly with D365. Um, I've always heard there's use cases, but it somehow always seems to be CE or outside D365. And I'm always eager to hear about um, great use cases with, uh, where it's specifically integrated with D365.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. Down in Oceanside, you a Padres fan?
I grew up in Boston, so I'm a huge Red Sox fan
Okay.
and Patriots. But once the Red Sox are out, or if I need a National League team, then yeah, I'll root for the Padres second.
Well, I don't think the Red Sox are, well, they might have started. Padres are losing, unfortunately.
Hmm.
Down 3-1. All right, Grant.
Yeah, turn my camera on for a minute. All
There
right,
we
Grant
go.
Wilson. I work for a company called Pet Supplies Plus, based out of Detroit, actually a suburb of Detroit. So my day finished about 25 minutes ago. Uh, Very early mornings for me out here on the West Coast. I am a senior manager there in charge of everything Dynamics, which in our case means making sure that about 730 retail stores are working on a day-to-day basis. I am based in Southern Orange County, Lake Forest area, uh, but have lived here, Northern California. I've lived in Virginia several times. I come from Toronto, Canada, so I've moved around a bit. I am interested in anything and everything to do with D365. I go back to Exapta 3.0, so I've been around for a long time. Particularly interested in anybody who's had any success in archiving. We are just checking because Microsoft is coming after us. Currently 2,601% over our capacity on the database. So anybody who's had any success, I'd love to talk to them because Microsoft is not able to help us today.
You're over, but we can't help you. I like it.
Over we can, yeah. So the solution to our every support ticket we get is your database is too large. You should archive. Okay, so the archive ticket we've had open for 6 months, because we can't archive because our tables are too large, isn't helping. So yeah.
Yeah, I know our support teams had issues with it too. I don't think we have any clients successfully archiving.
Yeah, and we have tables in the multi-billion row record count, so that's part of the problem with a retail operation. And
Yep.
We grow a terabyte a month, so it's a lot of data.
Wow.
Terabyte a month. Wow.
Terabyte a month. Yep.
Yeah. I'm surprised their solution for you isn't just we need to charge you more.
We've run the numbers, and if they decided to do that, it would be in the I think it's like $2.5 million a month or something would be the overage fee.
Oh,
wow.
So yeah. And yeah, most retail companies are in the same boat. The retail licensing does not fit the retail model for the database. So
interesting.
And I always prefer to watch a movie in a movie theater. I just wish there were more good movies to pay that kind of money to go to the movie theater for.
I agree with that. We ended up going with the pass. We've got the AMC Plus or whatever that you can do 4 movies a week. We never do. It could never do 4 a week, but it ends up being the price of like 2 movies a month. So that way I go see things I would have never went to before. And I've actually found a few good ones that way, but an interesting approach. And let's see, we got one more. Tiara? Am I saying that right?
It's Tiara, but that's okay.
Tiara,
I'll answer to Tiara. So I'm Tiara Mosqueda. I'm a newbie, by the way. This is my first event at a Doug meetup. I work for a company called Segal. It's SEGAL. It's an HR consulting firm.
Okay.
And my position is I'm really on the CE side most of the time, but I help out with the F&O side a lot. And what I'm really looking to learn more about is the upgrade, because we're about to do an update to 45, as well as anything new. We launched in 2023, and it's taken us this long to kind of catch up and be ready to learn new things. Past our integration and our launch. So we as a team at Segal are just interested in all new things. I'm in the South Bay in Torrance.
Okay.
And the answer to your last question is yes for me. I like watching movies all the time, anywhere.
There we go.
I love to watch them in the theater if it's like a big action movie and you want to see things really big. But I love watching them at home with my daughter, because then we can kibitz and heckle without bothering anybody. So
yeah, I think the other reason why I like the theater is because then I keep my phone put away. I don't look at email. So I pay attention. Half the time, if I watch it at home, it's like, oh, can we rewind that? I missed something.
Yep.
But I can also rewind it up, so that's not bad. But all right, awesome. So are you guys using finance and supply chain internally as well to run the business, or you just consult on it?
Oh no, it's internal only.
Internal only. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, well, good. We've got a good group, got a few customers, few partners. I like it. So now we just need to get that to be even more. So, all right, well, let's go ahead. It sounds like some interest in some of the the areas I had planned so we can talk on that. And I'm going to get that to go away. There we go. So first of all, .45, Grant, are you guys on that yet? I'm guessing with that many terabytes, probably not, or?
We are currently doing regression testing on it,
Okay.
and we have submitted 2 bugs to Microsoft. So
Only 2,
Yeah.
huh?
only 2. But that's, I
Only-
mean, we have a fairly detailed plan every time we upgrade because can't afford downtime.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
but yeah, the keeping it tested, there's we don't have much of a choice about upgrades anymore. So
Exactly.
yeah, got to do it.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I always like to try and cover this in our quarterly meetings. .45 previewed in July, generally available, came out this month, and then they're going to start that lovely auto update if you don't overwrite it or control it in October. There are several different ways you can get to what is in that new release. So, they break it down between finance and supply chain. So we can, just pop on one of these links and I'll skip the verification and we'll open this up. And, this is going to give you that full detail of what is available, what features are included in this. And they kind of break it down by the features that are included. And then they move down, if I scroll through all of these, to enhancements that are included. So whether it's a new feature or an enhancement of an existing feature. And then they'll let you know things that have been new in the past that now they're going to turn on for you automatically, because we have feature management where we can control when these get released. So they eventually tend to turn things on by default for us. And then things that are coming out of feature management. And if there's anything going to be deprecated in the next year, it would usually be at the bottom. So it doesn't look like anything deprecated, but you can see over here on the left, if you're not familiar, if you don't spend time on the docs, I would always mark this site so you can get back to, what came out in the .44 release, and you can usually go back 3 or 4 different releases. So I do a lot with that site. The other site I really like to spend a lot of time at, and I have this one bookmarked in my browser, is the release plans, because the doc site is just telling you what comes in that release. This site tells you what's going on in the wave releases and what's going on, first of all, across the whole gamut. So it's got Power Platform as well. But if I come in here to D365, I go to finance and you'll see a video that will show you what's coming out in the release. This is the release wave video. But then they break down all the new features into everything. So 106 new features in this release plan. 29 are planned, 78 are out now. So you can go to try now, and then they usually have some subcategories. So if I go into core financials, enable financial tags for purchase order invoicing. So you can see specifically about this feature when it went to GA. In this case, it's already GA'd. So we can see all of that and get additional information. Sometimes if it's only released in certain geos, you can find that out, but you get full detail for that and can usually jump back to read more information on this release. So you can get into each additional feature, but I like to look at what's coming, so what's planned in the release. So again, if I jump out here, what's planned still to come, more reconcile the account faster with the account reconciliation agent that we're going to talk about, accounting rules for the new journal entry framework. So there's a lot going on with the change around the journal entry framework. Some more bank account things, reconciliation, things like that. Transfer fixed assets between legal entities. I've got clients that have been asking for this for years. Finally looking like it's going to preview in December of 25. So this will allow us between legal entities to to transfer those fixed assets. So we can see kind of what's come out, what we can try, and what's coming soon. So mark that release planner site, and I'll upload this deck to the discussion board or to this event in the meetup group, so you'll be able to get this deck with these URLs. So I did not list out every feature in here. I grabbed a few of them that I've been working with clients. I've heard some interest in AR. There's now a customer invoice logging framework for sales order and free text invoice history. So, you go to confirm a sales order, you go to post the sales order, it gets an error message, and then that's gone. Now this is going to log that. So you can see, especially if you've got batch jobs running to do all your invoicing and things behind the scenes, you'll have a screen that I've got on the next screen to show you that. Workflow for lease impairments. So again, adding more workflow if you need to impair a lease, if you're using ASC 842. Oh, there's Lee. Let him in. Anybody on here actually using the asset leasing in D365? Just curious. Nope. Okay. AP, use default descriptions for purchase orders and invoice entries. So you can set up default descriptions in AP, and even if your users overwrite the description when they put in the PO or the invoice, it will use the default description, which you may have coded to be like the voucher number and the vendor name, or the voucher number and the invoice name. So again, those are some new features. So there's some small things, and then there's some bigger things. If you're in manufacturing, you're doing things with quality, a lot of compliance around quality, advanced quality management. There's a whole new thing with planning optimization for lean manufacturing. If you're using the warehouse mobile app, you're going to see some changes to that, as well as the production floor execution interface. So those are just some of the highlights. This is the error logging that I was talking about on the customer invoicing workspace. You now will see two options. They're under preview right now: sales order posting history, free text invoice posting history. So I can see what the warnings were when I tried to post this order. So in this case, it didn't post because it went to credit management. And then another one, it didn't post because it didn't have quantity. So I can see all those error details. So it's keeping that error logging for you now. And then the default descriptions in AP parameters, they added this new little checkbox. Always use default descriptions. So if you check that, it will then use the default descriptions in your purchase order and invoice when it posts through to the ledger. So if you're looking at an entry on an AP vendor card, for example, you would see your default description instead of whatever the user typed in. So with that, that's kind of all I had on what's new. Anybody else, Gabor, anybody have comments on other things on .45? Grant, is there some things you said you had a couple bugs, things we should be aware of?
We had a bug on inventory count journals.
Okay.
And that was the creation of the on-hand inventory for an inventory count journal is erroring out with a SQL error that Microsoft is looking into us. But their first response to us was you need to make your database smaller. The other one, which was kind of unique in on data management, if you're importing multiple worksheets from an Excel spreadsheet into data management, it is rearranging the tabs in alphabetical order, regardless of which tab you specified in the data management project.
Wow.
So it's messing up. And that's, only if you've got multiple tabbed Excel spreadsheets of imports. But, the fact that it's rearranging them so everything errors out because it's like that those don't match anymore, the tables. So yeah, that's a bug.
And I assume that's something you guys do all the time. So it worked in 44 or 43?
Yep.
Yeah. Weird. That's why regression testing is so important.
Yes.
So, anybody else on anything?
I don't have anything to add, unfortunately. I haven't had the privilege of working with any of the new exciting features.
Hmm.
I am curious what others are doing for regression testing. Is it manual, automated? What are you guys using for automated testing?
That's a good question. That's something our firm's going through right now. Anybody have thoughts on that?
I can share that my one client, they use RSAT extensively, and they have just some amazing internal resources that maintain and operate the test cases and everything having to do with operating RSAT. But it definitely is, they've got like a team of 3 people that run it and maintain it, add cases continuously, and so on.
And everything I'm hearing, Microsoft's not doing much advancement with RSAT. So I know.
Yeah, that's kind of why I'm curious what people are using.
Grant,
Yeah.
what do you guys use for all that testing?
I don't use RSAT currently. I have used it extensively in the past. And one of the biggest downsides of RSAT, which is why we don't use it today, is it is limited to user interface only
Right.
work. So if you're like, it doesn't test batch jobs, it doesn't test integrations, and almost everything we do, whether it's, EDI orders or orders coming in from a point of sale system or a warehouse management system, sales tax, everything is coming in from external systems, and RSAT kind of falls down on all of those cases. So we end up having to do everything manually. We just have a very long, very detailed spreadsheet with everything that we need to use. Excel, the best tool in the world for all that
So
stuff.
have you looked at any of the other tools like, Marie
LeapWork.
beat me to it, LeapWork?
That's what Rory's using, another recent client.
Yeah. So I know our firm, we've looked at LeapWork, Exec Automates.
Yeah, they're the
Europe.
ones I looked at.
Yeah, I know we've looked at that one as well. Those are the guys that Microsoft acquired the advanced security and governance from.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And the other one, our team's looking at a open source one called Playwright, I think it is. I don't know anything about it. But those are the names I've heard. I know with our clients right now, pretty much it's all RSAT, but we're looking to move off of that. But I have heard good things about LeapWork as well. But, all right. All right. Anybody else on the testing question?
Oh, I will mention, going back to something that you mentioned earlier, Dan, we are very excited about what's coming with fixed asset management in the next couple months.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of those, again, I fall on the finance side, so I get fixed asset questions all the time. And I get to some of those when I know they got multiple companies. I'm like, please don't ask, please don't ask. So now we can do it. And we've actually done some work with Microsoft behind the scenes on doing some testing, see what they're working on. So I think we'll get there. It's gone slower than I hoped. So. All right. Financial tags. Anybody use financial tags with GL or throughout D365? Just curious.
Just some playing around, nothing serious.
Okay. So you kind of got an idea what they are, Gabor?
Yeah, I think so.
You think so? Okay. Well, I'll just spend a few minutes here talking about them because it is an area Microsoft's done a lot with recently. These introduced, it's probably been a couple years ago when they first started rolling these out. And as we saw in that release planner, they're still adding more functionality to them. When they first released, they worked on like general journals. And now they work pretty much throughout the system. So we can put them on purchase orders, product receipts, all of that. The big thing is it gives us more detail than we get by just having financial dimensions. So there's a difference between a financial dimension and a financial tag. So I kind of stole this infographic from a Microsoft presentation, but financial dimensions, if you want to report and post by divisions, by department, by cost centers, typically, where you're going to roll your financial statements up. So again, when I'm implementing a GL with a client, I'm often going to ask, who do we need to run P&Ls for? Do you need to run them for your departments, your divisions, your locations? Those are going to be our financial dimensions. We tend to not want to have too many of those. I don't necessarily want to have 20 financial dimensions. You keep it to 3 or 4 in a lot of cases. What we can do with financial tags, and if those dimensions have a long list, that can give you performance challenges and can make it very difficult to post. The other thing is once you post to a financial dimension, it's posted. The only way you adjust that's a reversing journal entry, something like that. So a financial tag is going to let us work with those areas that have longer lists, and they're also going to allow us to change tags after it's posted. So you're tagging this transaction, but you can retag it or change the tag after it's posted. So key points to keep in mind, you can have up to 20 user-defined financial tags. Now, why I would want to, on this journal entry, have somebody put in, a 4-segment account number and then 20 different financial tags, my users might kill me if I asked them to put in that much detail when they were putting in an entry. But you can, pick and choose. You can activate, deactivate those tags. Those tags can come from a list. They can come from a custom list. They can just be free-form text. As I mentioned, they can be edited after you posted, and they can be activated or deactivated. If you decide, like in my screenshot here, I don't want to track ticket number anymore, I can deactivate that, and it's just not there to be used anymore. I don't have to rebuild my financial dimensions, anything like that with the financial tags. One of the things they added very recently is rules around those financial tags. So you could have rules that auto-populate those tags. So an example in this rule, I'm looking at my vendor US 110, which happens to be my advertising company, and I want any AP invoice journal, so we can see up here the invoice journal, I want the offset account, the expense account, to be tagged for trade show whenever I enter an invoice journal for this vendor. And I'll show you that in action here in just a minute. And then you're able to see all these financial tag transactions in your accounting source explorer. So we can go in, and I kind of edited the columns, but I can see out here what tags are available for that. So I moved it over to the left-hand side. So I did a campaign view, and I can see the expenses to my different campaigns that I have set up. So again, gives us another way to tag this. One way I've used it with clients, one of the first ways I used it, is I had a client that was doing allowance for doubtful accounts entries in their GL, and they wanted to tag what customer was driving that entry. They didn't want to put it in subledger because they weren't writing it off yet, but they wanted to be able to identify my allowance for doubtful accounts is made up of this amount for each customer. So we created a financial tag for the customer, and you can actually link it to the customer list. And so they could see all their customers there, and then they could tag that entry to the customer, never hitting the subledger, but then they could break down, allowance for doubtful accounts or bad debt expense by customer. So some differences between the two. Tags are set up at the legal entity level, but can be shared across. They're not part of your account string. They are not validated, so you don't have rules like we do in the accounting count string to rule those out. Defaulting, they don't default from the master data. Now that's changed a little with the rules, but you would have to write a rule to do the default. You don't have a field like financial dimensions on the vendor record, like we do for financial dimensions. Reporting, they aren't included in dimension sets. They're all just separated by commas or in separate columns. They also don't show up in management report or financial reporting yet. They are on the roadmap to go to business performance analytics. So you'll be able to report on them there, but that's probably early 26, I've been told. So some other can be activated, deactivated, can be edited. So let me pause there. Any questions, or I'll kind of go show you a quick demo how they work. Any questions, any curious problems if this could help you or anything like that?
No, but great presentation. Thanks for that. That was really good.
Okay. Thanks. So let me jump back into my environment. So if I go to my vendor invoice journals, I'll do an invoice journal for that US 110 I had in the system. So if I go into AP invoices, and again, this probably should have came in through invoice capture, something like this, but I'm hand entering an invoice for US 110. So you notice as soon as I did that, it tagged for trade show. So now I put in the invoice date, invoice number, booth, or I think what I did for the trade show, 1500. So now I've got it tagging up on just the one side. So I don't have the financial, actually it may when I save. Yeah, when I save it came in. So now it tagged automatically. So it's just another field next to the account number. So there's all my active financial tags. So now I can tag this for trade show, and I'll go ahead and post that. Tell this a demo system. I don't have approvals or anything set up, but we'll let that post. And if I jump over here to Account Source Explorer, and yeah, I'll just grab everything. Probably take too long, but we'll grab everything, and you'll see in here that I'll be able to see that trade show entry in. So let's just filter this to 60130, I think. There we go. So there's my advertising expenses. And if you keep scrolling, this is not formatted at all. There we go. Campaign. So there's my trade show. So that's how that fills in. So again, I could have a save view. Oh, it's all the way back on this side. It shows me my expenses by that. So that's where you could use financial tags. So again, I think it's a kind of an overlooked area, but allows you to get more detail than you get with your chart of accounts. Any questions there?
That was great. Thank you.
All righty. All right, then the one everybody wants to talk about, AI. And Anne Marie, I may disappoint you. I don't know that I'm going to be able to talk enough AI to cover what Microsoft did in the
No
AI
worries.
event in Chicago. And really, I want to keep this one open because I'm curious what everybody's doing, thinking around AI with finance and supply chain. So AI is starting to come everywhere in the system, right? So we've got the conversational product help and guidance. We've got the collection coordinator summary page, workspace, confirm purchase order changes workspace. all those summaries they've added to the vendor, the customer, the product pages, the workflow summary. So now you got AI to kind of summarize how your workflow went. My favorite, since I got those 3 letters after my name as CPA and I'm into account reconciliations, now I got an agent that's going to do my account reconciliations for me. And then the supplier communication agent. So just kind of a quick view on some of those. This one's been out, I think, for about a year now, confirmed purchase orders with changes, but this takes a look at any POs that were confirmed, and then you go make a change to it so it's now not confirmed, and it will give you the impact. So if a vendor calls you up and says, I know we were going to ship on September 30th, but now we're going to ship on December 5th, either they updated it through vendor collaboration or supply communication agent updated it or you updated it. Now this workspace will give you the downstream impact of that. So it will show you if that purchase order was tied to a sales order, to a production order, anything like that. And then it allows you to send emails, go ahead and confirm that PO, send a Teams message, anything like that. So that's AI running that behind the scenes. This is the new favorite. So this one came out in .44 in preview, and it's in what they call generally available preview or something like that. You can use it in production, but it is going out and looking at your subledgers. So on this screen, it has looked at my AR subledger, compared it to my general ledger for the AR account, and said, hey, Dan, you messed up 3 entries that you're out of balance on. And there's a difference between, in this case, the entry I have highlighted, there's a $500 difference. So we can see it there, 532 versus 32 on those entries. And I can actually create that journal entry from here. So this, if I jump back into my demo environment here, the other thing I'm going to point out, I don't know if I have this instance set up, I don't. So there's also a new homepage. So let's go in, oh, not personalize, do that every time. Let's go into user options. And I'm going to go to my preferences. And I'm going to change the default dashboard to the new immersive home. This is the new immersive homepage. When you install, I think it was 44, it will start prompting you all the time. You want to use this new immersive home page. Grant, what's your team think of this one? Have you looked at it?
Not yet.
Okay. I have people on my team that love it. They think it looks so clean. I don't like it because I was such a workspace guy, and now all my workspaces are down here and they're really hard to find. So, and what I have been able to learn or in playing, I haven't followed up much, not really a lot of personalization options in here. So, I go to hide, it wants to hide the whole thing. So it is not conducive to personalization. And did I just screw it up?
Yeah, but one of the problems we have in the retail space is nothing AR works for us. I have millions of customers.
Oh, you're right.
That all buy once and pay with credit card or cash. So anything customer summary, credit management for customers, none of that stuff is useful.
And you set them all up as their own customer?
Yep, because we have rewards programs.
So you're not just doing cash customer?
Nope.
Okay. Now, see, another reason I don't use immersive homepage. So what that page was showing me, try it one more time here, is all my actions. So if it's somebody who's really into approving things, stuff like that, it's probably going to be a good page for them. Otherwise, we're going to go back in here and we're going to go back to the old one. Let me switch back. There we go. So what I really wanted to show you versus that is the account reconciliation workpage. So this is, you configure it. So I come out here, configure, what are my ledger accounts for AP, for AR, all of that. So I do all that setup. And then, can you guys still hear me? I'm having issues with an earbud. So let's make, you guys still hearing me?
Yep, we hear you.
Yep.
Okay, good. And I set up how often I want it to reconcile. So I've got mine reconciling every six hours. September, I've been a really good accountant, so it reconciled. But I'll go back to July where I made some mistakes. So I go back to July. You can see, I see all of my reconciled transactions, but then I see in AR, I have 3 exceptions. And this goes across legal entities, so I can be looking at my different legal entities. So this is where I see that mismatch, and I can come in here and create a journal entry to make this adjustment. I could do other things like reverse this transaction. I could link this with multiple transactions. I could accept this without change. I don't know why I would want to stay out of balance, but I could accept this adjustment. So again, brings it to a workspace where I only got to look at the exceptions. I don't need to print out, different reports out of AR and GL and try and match them up, or AP and GL, or whatever the case may be. So have a lot of high hopes for this module. This all runs on stuff that's in Power Platform. So these are all apps, and it's running different flows, and Power Automates behind the scenes. So I'll just jump into my Power Apps environment that's tied to this instance. And just to kind of give you an idea, I've tried to turn on like a lot of the AI that comes with Dynamics, and I have some of the CE apps too. But I used to have like 5 flows in here, and now it just goes on and on. Some of them are on, some of them are off. Microsoft puts them in place for you. But that's what's running a lot of this behind the scenes. And also you have to, in the Power Platform, install the Copilot components. So that's part of the installation. And it's very simple to do. I do my own installs and everything else. And again, I'm not techie. I'm an accountant more than I am a technical person for that. But the account reconciliation, I think, is a big one. The other one, so there's a new module now called Agents. So if I come into Agent Preview, this is where I set those agents up. So this is where I have those different time frames and things set up on that agent. You have your agent library. So if I wanted to use supplier communication agent, I can select this agent. And what this agent is going to do, pretty much write what it tells you on the screen. When blank, so I could do specific vendors or any vendor, sends an email about purchase orders to, and so I might not use my personal email address there. I might have something like procurement at, show me a summary of what they put in. So it is now listening to my inbox. I'm not going to save those changes. It's listening to my inbox for any emails that come in, and then it will actually give me some feedback on that. So if I go to agent activity, so you can see how these are being run, and I can open that. Maybe doesn't want to open for me. I'm still learning all these as well, but that's where it will send out purchase order or send out emails for you if a purchase order wasn't reviewed or wasn't delivered. It'll send emails, supply chain to go that way. And then if they email you, it'll read it in. So those are the two things that the supply chain communication agent will do for you as well. So, I'll just go back to the agent. So send follow-up emails to vendors and then speed up updates from vendors. So one, I'm pushing emails out. One, I'm getting the information in from the agent. So those are kind of the agents. All of these are in Copilot Studio, so you can open and extend them. This is the sidecar Copilot here. So I was playing around with this in Copilot Studio. And so this is the one where you could say, how do I enter a sales order? And it will search through help and give me some directions for that. Like I said, I've been messing with mine, so mine's kind of not running as fast as it should, but there you go. So it gave me how to enter, and it did a bad job because it told me how to do it in sales instead of F&O, the joy of AI. But I also, what I was doing messing with my Copilot is I wanted to say, how many A001 do I have in stock? Knock on wood, this is going to work. It worked yesterday. So let's see. It's going to go out and check. And so I've exposed in Copilot Studio, I exposed the entity that has my inventory on hand. And sure enough, there it did. It came back. Currently, we have 399 units of A001 in stock. And I could continue with what warehouses have stock for A001. And it's working on it. I got a few warehouses in the system, so hopefully AI always runs slow when you're on a demo. There we go. There it answered my exact prompt, which warehouses have stock. I didn't ask how many. So it said 10 and 11 and 24 have stock. So it didn't tell me how much in each one. So the key with AI, right, is learning how to prompt it properly. There are 30 more warehouses that have different locations. So it's giving me more and more information about what I have. So again, I made that out of the box. That Copilot doesn't look at inventory. I went into Copilot Studio, added that, and there's documentation on the Learn site to do that, but added that entity in as part of the learning model, and then it was able to answer those questions. So that's just a quick highlight on what's available in AI. Thoughts on AI around F&O? Excited? Scared?
We're looking forward to it. Since we're an HR firm, we are hesitant to use a lot of AI because we don't want it to learn any kind of HR data, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But we know that it's the future and we can't really live without it. So I think it's on our 2026 roadmap to explore more AI. So this is very interesting.
Well, on that same side note, I mean, I work for a very large CPA firm and based in the Midwest. So I'm not sure you could get more conservative than a Midwest CPA firm. When ChatGPT first started to come out, our laptops were all locked out, right? We couldn't AI anything. Our IT team actually said we can do one better, and they built on top of it, protected. Because again, we don't want to load audit files up to let ChatGPT load it. The advantage now is there's so many ways you can firewall that you can learn from your own data, but nobody else learns from your data. So we do a lot of work with it. We have a full AI practice now inside the firm, but we now, every one of us, I have an enterprise license to ChatGPT now, because working with ChatGPT, we've got the guardrails in place that I can submit client files, things like that, and it's not going to the public, but it's in our own version of ChatGPT. And Microsoft has guidelines around all that. So like invoice capture, it uses AI to read an invoice. And a lot of clients will complain, it doesn't learn from my new invoices. It's like, you're right. It doesn't, because Microsoft's not going to take everybody's invoices and gather that information and create a learning model for everybody. You can put in your own custom model and say, okay, learn, but keep it to my organization. So they put those firewalls in place. So it's not out there, but definitely work with Microsoft, or you'll find a good firm that does AI consulting, and they can help you with that, or attend Convergence. I'm sure Microsoft's definitely going to be talking about the security around AI at the Convergence conference in December.
Mhm.
Any other thoughts, comments, questions? I don't know that I'll have the answer, but I'll make one up. All right. Well, that moves me to our last topic, which is just open questions and discussions. So, I'll throw it out there. What else do we want to cover? What, we already have, I think I have it here. I've got next quarter's meeting already on the calendar, December 16th on a Tuesday. If somebody's interested in speaking, I don't have to create and lead all the content. Please, I don't want to. I'm open for having other speakers. I'm even open if somebody else would like to help me lead this group and help bring in people. If you don't want to bring it up now, my email address is there on the screen. Feel free to email me there. But other topics, or if there's other questions, we've got a few experienced users on, happy to answer any product related questions, anything like that we can do here in the last few minutes we have set aside.
I just want to thank you for doing this. Great job. Great content. And I'm happy to try and help present a topic next time. If as long as I have time to prepare, I should be able to put something together.
Oh, I appreciate that. Appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, if you got a couple ideas you'd like to do, shoot me an email, and we can get that on the agenda, and we'll start marketing it out. The other thing too, if any of you are in the manufacturing industry, like I said, I also lead the Doug for Manufacturing group that we also meet quarterly virtually. Anybody who would like to present on that one or get more info on that one, also email me on those. But happy to do that. I'd love to hear some more topics. Some of that bank rec stuff you were talking about, Gabor, sounds. I know I've been messing with that lately, but they've done a lot with the auto stuff. And when do I need that, or when do I have to go to SK Soft? That's always a question my clients ask me about bank rec and bank stuff.
Yep.
So it would be good. Anybody else? Well, if nobody else has anything, that takes me through the slides. I appreciate everybody hanging in there. This will be posted on Doug's YouTube channel, and I'll also share everything in the meetup group for you to get the slide deck and all that. So please email me with any ideas, sessions, anything like that. Happy to have additional assistance. So with that, I'll give everybody 15 minutes back, and have a great rest of your Tuesday.
Bye,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Dan.
Bye.
Take care.